What is going on, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about Daredevil Season 1 on Netflix. And the reason why is because in a couple of days, Daredevil Season 2 will be out. And I am extremely excited for Season 2. So I figured, why not just make a video on Season 1 to celebrate it being probably one of the greatest Marvel TV shows that aired last year. And probably one of the greatest, like, ambitious, dark, and kind of scary shows of last year. It's something that I have never seen in a very long time, and it's so different. But it's like it's in the world of the Avengers, but this is not your Avengers story. This is a superhero. Well, I'll just say hero. This is a hero who's in the real world dealing with real world things. And that's something that's very, very amazing about this show, is that you feel for Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, who did an amazing job as Daredevil and made Daredevil the most badass characters in the Marvel Universe right now. And before I keep going, I just want to say there will be spoilers for Season 1 of Daredevil, and there will be a little bit of spoilers for Jessica Jones. Just a little bit, not too much. But if you haven't seen either, stop the video, go watch them for a day, because it's going to take a while, and then come back. But if you've seen them, welcome to the club. We're going to talk about Daredevil Season 1. And that would be when I had an intro, but I don't have an intro yet, so imagine explosions and the name pop up and shows Daredevil Season 1, and then we're back and transition. And the show starts off with Matt Murdock as a kid who's in an accident, and there's toxic waste barrels everywhere. Toxic waste everywhere. And the good deeds from him is so apparent, because he's such a good person as a child, because he saved somebody even when he was a child. But it gave him a burden. It was a sacrifice, kind of. He sacrificed himself, and he lost his sight. He can't see. He lost his eyesight, and he goes blind. And once you see his father, Jack Murdock, once you see like him looking at his son, and his son saying, "My eyes burn," you immediately know what you're in for. Once that part happens, once it begins, you know what the whole season's going to be. It's going to be a real life story. It's going to be something that's fictional, that feels like it could happen in the real world. And you see his sight go away and bulges into, it just turns to black, and that's when we are introduced to the lawyer, Matt Murdock. And he has a partner named Foggy Nelson. I forgot the actor's name, so I am so sorry. But he did pretty good. But I was kind of scared, because I immediately when you see his first scene, I got a little like, is he gonna be this annoying character? That's the comic relief, and he kind of is the comic relief, but he's not annoying. After a while, you start to grow on him. He starts to become pretty cool, because after the season ended, I noticed, like, if my friend was a vigilante at night and fought crime and could die any moment, any day, any second, I would worry too, and probably be really on him, saying, "You need to stop," and really, really make him think about it. And once the season ended, it's like, okay, I understand. I understand where Foggy's coming from. And then we're introduced to Karen Page, who is a bloody mess when we first see her. You see a dead body full of blood. This right here, when you see this is when you're like, whoa, this is something completely different than your Avengers lineup. And a funny humor. No, this is real. There is a dead body on the ground, and there's knife wounds, and she's holding a knife, and then you're like, whoa! And then she gets arrested, and then this is when she meets the two lawyers. And here's the little spoiler I was talking about with Jessica Jones. Okay, she said, this is my theory, she said she doesn't remember what happened. She just remembers meeting him, and I forgot the guy's name who died, but she remembers meeting him, and then the next day she's just like, whoa, there's blood, and she didn't even know how she did it. My theory is that Kilgrave, the Purple Man from season 1 of Jessica Jones, had something to do with it, because he has a power. If you didn't know, if he has a power that controls people's minds, and they have no idea or aware of what they're doing or after. So when you think about it, it makes sense. But here's the spoiler I was talking about. If you haven't seen Jessica Jones, kind of skip 10 seconds. I'm gonna wave. This means spoiler right now. And then once spoiler's over, I'll wave again. So mute during this. So, spoiler, Kilgrave dies. She breaks his neck. So, what I was thinking, it kind of wouldn't make sense, kind of, because in season 2 of Daredevil, if they go on it, I guess they can name drop it or something. Because you would think if Daredevil finds out that she was mind controlled, he'll go after Kilgrave. But Kilgrave's dead, you know? Or they might do something where season 2 takes place like during Jessica Jones, I guess. It's just a theory because she says she has no idea why it happened, and it'll make sense and how like you can plant the seeds of the Defenders coming pretty soon. And obviously they're in the same area, I believe, and I don't know if they're taking that. I don't know if they're in the same timeline. Jessica Jones and Daredevil, I have no idea if they're in the same timeline or anything like that, but it would make sense how to kind of join them together if Jessica and Daredevil teamed up to go get Kilgrave, but Kilgrave's dead, so I don't know. Spoilers off if you haven't seen Jessica Jones. Now the whole thing is just going to be spoilers for season 1 of Daredevil. Honestly, my favorite character is Wesley and Ben. Um, what happens to Ben is I don't know if they were wanting to kill him off or something, because honestly I thought he was going to survive, and it was really sad to see him get choked out by probably one of the greatest villains in the MCU today, probably the best villain from last year, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. He kills Ben, it's sad, and I kind of wanted him to be kind of the Jim Gordon of Daredevil, you know? Have Daredevil go and find this dude and with glasses and stuff, and they'll be all buddies and all that. Have a Jim Gordon and Batman kind of feel, but he dies. He gets choked out to death. And yeah, it's pretty something. It's something that I kind of wish they at least let the season end it. He was alive, and then see the reception from the characters, you know? Yeah. But during this spoiler review, I'm going to go all over the place. Okay, so next we're going to go to Stick, which is probably one of the most badass characters ever. He's another blind character who taught and trained Matt Murdock everything that Daredevil is today. Taught him how to be a kung fu master, a ninja, how to see his surroundings, his senses, and everything like that. And he seems to be a prominent role. He seems to has a prominent role in season 2. He seems to be something that's gonna be something with the hand in season 2. Because season 1, after the Stick episode ended, this dude who's in crisscross applesauce and he has scars on his back and he has long hair. I wonder who that is. I think we'll find out who that is in season 2 probably. Or he might be a greater villain. He'll be saved for the last season or something like that. But hey, Stick, it's probably the coolest thing ever. Even on the fight scenes, like Stick's doing these crazy stuff, and I know he had a stunt double, but man, he is probably the most coolest, like, interesting characters in like this whole TV series. I really enjoyed him. Him and Matt butting heads. And the kind of feel good, like, oh moment was when Matt Murdock from the past, child, gave him like a little bracelet, and then like he crushed it, and then in present time he had the bracelet, and it's like, It's a nice feeling. But overall, I'm going all over the place. So the story ends with obviously the hero beating the villain, and what I love about Wilson Fisk is he is the most human and relatable characters like ever. Like he is so relatable, and he's like, and they hinted at it. They said, "Don't say his name," and then one of the Russians said, "Oh, they don't want to say his name because he's just a man." And I think it's kind of true because he's just a human being with feelings. Um, excuse me, but that's exactly what it is. And when you hear that, you're like, "Yeah, he's a pansy." No, he's probably the most like he's vulnerable. He's a human. He's kind of awkward when he's on his dates. But don't let that fool you because he's a monster too because he turns someone's head into jelly, smashing his head on the car door, and yeah. But Vincent D'Onofrio did a very great job, and people always make fun of like how his voice sounds like this, and he's kind of like a bat, sounds like Batman from 2005, but he's something different from a villain that we had in the MCU. I'm saying because yeah, the MCU doesn't really have that many good villains. I mean, people say Loki, but he's kind of an anti-hero now. He's not really a villain anymore after Thor 2. But like, I guess Red Skull is kind of cool. Winter Soldier is not a villain. Yeah, that's about it. Uh, Not really that many good villains. But Vincent D'Onofrio's villain in this show, he when you see his backstory is so tragic. And after you see his first killing of his own father, you see why he killed him too, because his mother was being tormented. And you see him wear his father's I don't know what to call them, but something on his wrist. I forgot what they're called, but he has those. And every time he always fiddles with them every time. And his dad always told him to look at the wall and just stare at it. And every time in the present day, Wilson Fisk would stare at the wall. And when you first meet him, he's staring at a painting that looks like a wall. And you don't understand why, but by the end, when he's in jail, you see him staring at another wall that looks just like the one in his old house. And you're just like, oh, man, I want him to get out of the prison, but he's such a bad guy. But him and Daredevil, he said, we have something in common. And Daredevil's like, no, we don't. I'm nothing like you. But when you watch the series and you just really think about it, they are the same. Obviously, the one common thing is like they want to make the city better. But the one thing is, Wilson Fisk creates fear and makes you and it makes you want to cleanse the place, and he makes people do this. He wants to cleanse it with destruction, violence, drugs, trafficking, crazy stuff. And on the other hand, Daredevil. He wants to cleanse it too, and but he does it with violence, and he does it with fear. Two things that they both have. Well, obviously, Daredevil's not going to do trafficking. The hell, but they have two things. They have fear and violence. They both want to cleanse the city to scare others to make it better, and they're both the same, but they do different things. And to have a great villain, you have to think that they could be the hero. You see what he does, and you don't condone it, but you understand the greatest villains think they're the hero. Those are probably the best villains like ever. We haven't had a good villain in a while, and I thought Ultron was gonna be a good villain, but he was just a goof. Sad, but Wilson Fisk and Kilgrave gets honorable mention because he's pretty good. He's pretty scary, but Wilson Fisk is something that could come back probably at the end, like close to the end of the seasons. We might get a mention of him in season 2, but he's not done yet. When he gets out of that prison, he's coming for Daredevil, and he's coming for blood. And I think I went through everything. Went through Matt Murdock, Jack. I think Was it Jack Murdoch? I think that was his dad's name. It's so stupid. I just had it in my mind, but I forgot. But oh well. But Matt Murdock, his father, Karen Page, Foggy, Ben, uh, Wilson Fisk, Stick. I went through most of it. I went all over the place. So I wrote some notes, but I'm not looking at them right now. This is all on top of my head. But the season in a whole, it's fantastic. It's something, like I said in the beginning, it's something you've never seen before if you haven't seen this. This is like the best MCU, like the best thing that Marvel's ever done is create something on Netflix to create something with their hands are cuffed in the movies, but put them in the Netflix series or put them on Netflix, the cuffs come off, and violence and real world stuff are in this. So if you don't like that, then this isn't for you. But if you do, if you want a real take on a superhero genre, if you want a real life world put in this crazy, like fun loving world, then you will love this. This show has a superhero in the real world that is battling things that are happening today. This is probably one of the greatest shows that's going on. I love Arrow and Flash. Those are probably the only ones that come close, but best superhero show, Daredevil's up there. This is the best superhero show you will ever see. It is worth your time spending a day binge watching, because I watched it last year, but I'm watching it over again, and I'm pointing at my front room. But I'm watching it over again, and I can't wait to go through everything again. And yeah, season 1 of Daredevil is amazing. If I had a rating system, I'll probably give it a 10. It's a great show. Excuse me. So I'm hoping season 2 is as great or better, because the Punisher, I cannot wait for the Punisher to wreak havoc, and I can't wait for him to fight Daredevil. But then I'm pretty sure they're gonna become friends at the end, you know. But that's about it. I had fun making this. I'm having fun watching Daredevil. Hope you have fun watching. If you like this, give the video a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and always stay weird. Daredevil.